Good morning, family. Welcome back to the village. If you're running into our channel for the first time, welcome. I hope at the end of the video you'll find our content worthy of your time. And if you do, I hope you subscribe. But nonetheless, even if you don't subscribe, I am just glad that you're here with us today. Now, one of the largest or the most intense conversations that has come up in the last week or so about moving from diaspora to the village has been about money. How do you make a living? Many people are curious about how those of us who are transitioning back to the village are able to meet our financial obligations, how folks are able to just walk away from their jobs and make it work. So in this video, I'm just going to share with you some of the things that we are doing and some of the things I have seen my friends who have moved into the village doing. Now, as I said earlier, that money is probably one of the most important reasons as to why a lot of us are stuck in diaspora. Because in truth, the financial opportunities we have had in the diaspora are really incredible. And there are opportunities that many of us would not have here at home. And so many of us who choose to stay in diaspora are often influenced by financial considerations. However, those who are moving back to the village somehow have found ways to meet their financial obligations. So that is going to be the focus of today's video. Now, some folks have asked whether I work remotely, whether I do business and things like that. And I'm going to try and get to all of that, hopefully within 10 minutes. But also remember, this is my experience. It's going to be different from the next person. And so my answers may work for you, may not work for you, and will also vary quite a bit based on factors that I'm going to share. Now, before I get into the details, I want to say that when it comes to plan for making money after transitioning to the village, that conversation has to be had alongside the need to keep a hold on or keep a lead on your expenses. Because the village really can also be fairly expensive if one does not pay particular attention to the other expenses that we run into in the village. And so here are 10 ways that I personally use when it comes to managing expenses. The first is that I make sure that I spend more time in the village. Well, that means I minimize out of village trips, because anytime you leave home, you're spending on fuel, probably buying lunch, and so many other expenses. So the fewer trips outside the village you make, the more you're able to save. The second thing I do to keep a lid on my expenses is I make sure I live in my own home. Renting or living in a hired space can be very expensive. And when I live in my own home, I don't have to pay rent, I don't have to pay mortgage and things like that. So if you can, to the greatest extent possible, make sure you're living in your own house or apartment or whatever that may be. Number 3, I grow my own food for the most part. So basically, I would say about 70% of what we eat at home, we grow within our property. So that means we really lower our bills for food. Number 4, the other thing I do to keep a lid on my expenses is I use a lot of solar power. So that way I don't have any electric bills. The same goes with water. We have our own well, and so we don't have to buy city water. And then we also recommend, if at all possible, particularly for those who have animals, if you can use biogas, that'll save you a lot on fuel that is used for cooking. Now, because we have animals at home, we also use a lot of organic manure. So again, it's environmentally friendly. Most folks like organic stuff, and it comes for free because we already have animals. Number 8, to the greatest extent possible, you want to automate your farm. For those of us who have farms, that also lowers your bills in terms of the number of people you have to hire to take care of your stuff. And then we also recommend a certain degree of discipline when it comes to financial commitments. In the village, there's always going to be a number of things that require finances, whether it's a funeral going on, somebody's sick, and things like that. So there's a need to watch out for how much you're committing yourself financially. And this point number 9 is related to point number 10, which is accept that you cannot solve every single problem you'll run into the village. Like I say, when you live with people, there's always going to be issues popping up. There are many things that many of us can help with, but it is virtually impossible to respond to every single need, no matter how genuine it is. Every day, whenever you walk around, you'll run into kids, you'll run into families, you'll see needs everywhere. But it doesn't matter how much money you make. It is just impossible to solve everything. So once you accept that, then you can only commit yourself to certain things. And then for others, you simply accept that you have the desire to help, but it is outside your means. So lastly, what do we do to meet our financial obligations? Because like I said earlier, a lot of people are worried about abandoning stable diaspora jobs and coming to look for some means of surviving financially. Now, personally, I'm strongly against coming home to look for employment, except for under exceptional circumstances. And so on my part, here are some things that I'm doing right now that I've also seen my friends do. Number one, many of us keep multiple gigs at the same time. So we don't depend on one's income stream, whatever that may be. And in another video, we'll talk about examples of multiple gigs that folks can pull. But personally, and many of my friends, we keep multiple gigs. And if at all possible, we strongly recommend that folks keep their diaspora gigs and also their homegrown gigs. And especially when you're talking about diaspora gigs, folks who are able to work virtually have exceptional opportunities to keep working even when they transition back home. So many of my friends who live at home still do their diaspora jobs from the village. As long as you have reliable power and internet, many of us can actually do that. And the other option besides virtual work, I've seen folks do certain types of jobs that allows them to be gone for extended periods of time. For example, people who do travel nursing can often work for like 6 months straight and then be gone for another 6 months. Or people who are self-employed. And I'm sure there are many, many examples out there. So if you do work that allows you to be gone for a while, it can be a very suitable option if you're thinking to move back home. Now, for the home ground gigs, again, there are so many examples that we cannot pack in a 10-minute video. So today I'm just going to focus on one gig that my family is currently doing that I've seen almost 6 of my other friends who have moved from the US doing with a lot of success. And this is agribusiness. In our home specifically, we have started with egg production and vegetable production. So with egg production, we bought quite a few layers that we got as 1-day-old chicks. And then we raise them, we feed them, it takes maybe about 4 or 5 months. And then they start producing eggs. There's lots of lessons to be shared here. However, the main thing has been about making sure that you have a tight lead on managing feeds, disease control, being directly involved, automating many of the processes. And then on the side, we also have what we call kienyeji, or the traditional chicken that are free range. Now, the demand for these traditional kienyeji ones are so high that currently we've stopped selling them. So when it comes to eggs, the only thing we are doing is selling eggs right now. And I'm going to put our number. If you're interested in buying eggs, we are actually selling eggs to folks in Kisumu and around Kisumu. We actually offer free delivery. One tray costs about 450 shillings, but there's a far lower price for folks who are taking bulk orders. On the vegetable side, we have planted kales, which I believe in Portuguese is called secoma. And we also have traditional vegetables. We have coriander, we have bell peppers, we have onions, and a number of other vegetables. So this is actually the first phase. And what really shocked me is that even the small project we've started, we can barely meet the local demand, especially now that it's relatively dry. And so with the vegetables, just like our kienyeji chicken, we are no longer selling it to people outside because the demand is so high that our regular customers' needs cannot be satisfied. So for me, this is a great opportunity. So in the next couple of months, we are going to work on expanding our irrigation system, making sure we can actually sustain a much bigger space when it comes to watering, and also making sure that our irrigation system is sustainable. So we are working on that to extend to just meet the demand. You would be shocked how much money you can make in just these two simple projects. And so folks who are thinking about moving, agribusiness has exceptional potential. But this also applies to folks who live in the village. The only challenges that I've noticed so far with the agribusiness focused on egg production and vegetables, one has to do with the initial capital. Because where we are planting our vegetables, we have to fence it really well to prevent chicken from coming in. And we also have to make sure that we have built the structures necessary for that, and then the cost of hiring labor and things like that. So the initial cost might be a little pricey, but it pays off within a very short period of time, because things like eggs and vegetables don't last long in the shelf. They come in the shelf and folks buy them. They fly off the shelves like you wouldn't believe it. And so folks who are thinking about ideas for making money while living at home, please explore these options. So as we finish there, and I also want to just emphasize again, we have egg deliveries for free within Kisumu and its environment. If you want to support us, please call this number. If you're in Kenya, it is 0714-700-466. We will deliver for free. If you're buying maybe 1 or 2 crates, it's 450 shillings. But if you're buying in bulk, we have amazing prices for folks who can buy more. Well, I hope this video was informative and you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or you have topics that you'd like for me to address, please post it in the chat. Almost all the conversations that I focus on are based on the questions that folks are bringing. So post it in there. I promise you I will get to it. I hope this video was worth your time, and I hope you will subscribe. Thank you. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next. Thank you.